USA, 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 USA. Kevin Shirk here, the Columbus Crew Nerd. And you guys, I am in high spirits because the United States men's national team have just achieved one of their most iconic victories of all time. What a classic that was. The first ever CONCACAF Nations League final finished with an incredible 3-2 scoreline for the United States men's national team. What a game it was. Mexico scored very early on. A big mistake from a U.S. defender, gave up a goal within the first 90 seconds. But the U.S. fought back. Mexico actually scored a second goal in the first half. But luckily, we got very lucky because our defenders completely fell asleep. And it was called back by VAR for an offside by about an inch. Such a fine margin. We easily could have been down 2-0, and the game would have been, who knows, maybe just about over at that point. But then the goal was called back, and in the very next play, the U.S. came forward. McKinney got his head on a corner kick, and Gio Reyna put it into the back of the net, and that really gave our team some motivation and energy to go forward and confidence. And then in the second half, Mexico scoring again with Linus scoring a fantastic goal for Mexico, and it seemed like it was going to be a really deflating moment again. But again, practically the very next play, Weston McKennie gets his head on a corner kick, and the U.S. equalize at 2-2 to force overtime. And then in overtime, things really got crazy. Of course, Zach Steffen had to be subbed out in the second half after making one huge save himself. Ethan Horvath came in and made two incredible saves in the second half, although one was offside. But incredible performance from him without even going into the overtime. But first, as we went into overtime, the second period of overtime, the U.S. was awarded a penalty kick with a really close decision, with Lozano judged to have fouled Pulisic in the box with a VAR decision, and Pulisic put a perfect penalty kick past Ochoa, and a great celebration from the U.S. as the U.S. took a 3-2 lead. And then you saw some really ugly behavior from some of the Mexican fans, and I think this is something that I'm certain is going to be cracked down on in the future because, we can't continue with stuff like that. Mexicans throwing things into the field, striking Gio Reyna in the head with some sort of heavy object. Maybe it was a full can of beer. I don't know what it was. I couldn't really see. But totally unacceptable. Of course, later in the game, presumably Mexican fan, threw something and struck one of their own players in the head. So really disappointing stuff there. So in the final minutes, the U.S. were up 3-2, and then Mexico really pushing, really dangerous attack, and a VAR decision of a U.S. handball in the box awarded Mexico a penalty kick in stoppage time of the second half of overtime. And it was Guardado against Ethan Horvath, the substitute goalie who came in. And what a save it was. Ethan Horvath putting his name in the history books for the U.S. men's national team. Certainly something that no U.S. fan is ever going to forget. An incredible save. Not his first incredible save of the game, but one that will really mean a lot to all of us. I'm sure you all were going crazy just as I was when that save was made. That was definitely my biggest shout of the night. My biggest celebration of the night. And the U.S. held on for the 3-2 victory. An instant classic, a game that we will never forget. The first ever Nations League trophy of CONCACAF goes to the United States. And the U.S., who haven't beaten Mexico in a competitive match for 8 years. Haven't beaten Mexico in a final since 2007. I think this was definitely one of our most classic and special games that we've ever seen from the U.S. Definitely our most iconic win, at least since beating Ghana in the last World Cup that we were in back in 2014. I might even go so far as to say our most iconic win since beating Spain in 2009, or maybe even beating Mexico in 2002, or maybe even bigger than those. It was really special after how disappointing things have been for our team the last several years, missing out on that World Cup, missing out on 3 of the last 4 Olympics. But then finally, man, such a satisfying night for all of us U.S. fans. What can you say? So thank you all so much as always. Let me know down in the comments your reaction to all of this. I'm sure you went crazy as I did. And be sure to subscribe to my channel because I'm going to keep you informed of the U.S. men's national team and Columbus Crew news as we move forward. Thank you all so much. And let me leave you by saying, USA, 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 USA.